going on? Sergeant Gaze here. Hope everybody's having a great day. And in today's video, we are here after lots of requests to have a settings video on the channel. A lot of people have been asking for me to do a settings video on the controller settings that I use. And with these settings, I don't know if they work on Xbox. So fair warning, if you are an Xbox player, I'm not sure if these will work for you because I do remap my controller through the PlayStation. So if there is the same settings that you are able to find on Xbox and be able to do the same thing, then that will be great. But this is mainly for PlayStation 4. You can try to watch through it and see if it works for Xbox as well. But first thing we do when we get into this, I have been using these settings for 5+ years, since the beginning of Black Ops 3. My friend put me on this stuff and I have been using it ever since, so I'm very used to it. It is quite different from a normal default controller or some settings that people might use. It does involve stick and move, but also tactical. I know a lot of people like to use stick and move on Call of Duty, but the difference I have with my settings is I also use tactical, and that's the reason I have my settings this way, is because you can't use tactical and stick and move at the same time in game. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go to your home screen, PlayStation or Xbox. I don't know where your settings will be again on Xbox, but we're going to go over here to settings, and then we're going to go accessibility, and then we go all the way down to button assignment. You can change your controller buttons whichever way you want. I've been using this, like I said, for 5+ years. I already have mine enabled, so this is probably going to be unchecked, so you're going to enable this. So you're going to enable this, and then it's going to bring up a customized button assignment, and then you will be able to mess around with this. Since mine's already changed, this would actually show as X, and then my R3 would show as R3. So what you're going to do is go over to your X, and then you're going to go down and change it to R3. So now your X is R3 and your R3 is X. The only thing that might get really confusing to try to use this stuff is that now instead of clicking enter with X, so like if I go back to the game, you would usually click X to enter, it's going to be R3. This is something that took a couple of days for me to get used to, but it's now a habit for me to use at the time being. So like for example, if I go to create a class, I click R3, R3. Anything I do to click enter to go to the next screen is R3 now, not X, or whatever the button is on Xbox. So now that is out of the way, you are now able to jump with R3. And the next thing that I do, we are going to go over, and the next thing with these settings, we will be going over my controller settings here. So if we go down here, we are playing on 7 sensitivity horizontal and then 7 sensitivity vertical. I believe I was already playing on 7 sensitivity the whole time. I also did on Black Ops 4. The only thing that really has changed since then on my last settings video is that my ADS sensitivity is now 0.8, both low and high zoom. I actually lowered this because last time I was using 0.9. At one point I was using 1.0. 0.8 just seems like the perfect number because the ADS seemed a little fast for me. Now I have been using these here. So 7.7, 0.8, and then our button layout is tactical. This is usually where you would have on stick and move. As you can see, there's a stick and move setting and also a tactical setting. And like I said, I use both tactical and stick and move, but now since we remapped the controller through the PlayStation, we already have stick and move activated pretty much. So this I would put as tactical, and pretty much what this is going to allow me to do, punch with circle instead of whatever the punch button used to be. I can't remember. I think it would make you punch with X if you were to have default on or whatever. I can't remember. So now when you have tactical activated, and you are now going to jump with R3, slide with X, and punch with circle. That is the 3 main changes to these settings that you have to get used to. And then we also have flipped on, which allows you to shoot with L1 and R1 instead of L2 and R2 or RT, LT. I can't remember what Xbox, I'm sorry, I don't know what Xbox buttons are and whatnot, but instead of shooting with L2 and R2, we are now shooting with L1 and R1. So that's another thing you got to get used to. So to go over everything, you shoot with L1 and R1, jump with R3, slide with X, and punch with circle. Those are the main things that change. I don't think any of the other controller buttons change, and those are the ones that you have to get used to. It might take some time if you're coming from default, but if you're already playing stick and move, this could be a pretty simple task to get used to. It might be a little confusing at first, but yeah. These are both disabled. I think this is already disabled on default. And then controller vibration, let me explain this a little bit. I always disable this on Call of Duty because it's one of those things that can help your aim improve if you turn it off. Vibration is one of those things that you don't even notice, but yeah, obviously it is a habit of having it on, or sorry, it is natural for having vibration on and you don't really think about it, but this does mess with your aim. Maybe not a whole lot, but if you have this turned off, your aim can be improved a little bit, and that goes with everything else that we're going to talk about that can continuously improve your aim on Call of Duty. So turn off controller vibration. It's going to be really weird at first, but like I said, it takes time to get used to things that you were trying. So if you want to give this a go, see if you can get used to it, definitely do it. If not, you can go back to it. It's not that big of a deal. feel. Gameplay, I don't believe I changed any of this stuff. You can keep the same unless you want to try changing anything that you would like to change. Now down here, the advanced threshold, I haven't touched any of this, but if you would like to mess around with this, pretty much this changes the sensitivity of your analog stick. So if you're going to move to the left and you push your analog stick to the left, it would take less sensitivity to fully move to the left, because obviously you want to slowly look around a corner, or if you want to like do a whole turn on 180. This, if you turn this up and down and mess with it, you could have a different sensitivity to your analog sticks on how fast you're able to turn, if that makes sense. It's a little confusing. You may not want to mess with this if you don't want to. I know there's videos out there or people explaining what this does a lot better than I am. So if you want to do that, go right ahead. And then all this other stuff I have the same. You don't have to change this unless you want to tweak or mess with any of it. And if we go over to graphics, this is another thing that is a big thing that I have changed. Colorblind modes, if you want to change any of this, there's all, oh my god, there's a lot of settings. I didn't know there was this many settings that you can change. This is actually pretty cool. So you can set your ally color, the color of you, the enemy color, and the party color to whatever you want. Pretty cool actually. So if you guys want to mess around with this, it does no harm of doing so. So yeah, there's that. I don't have it activated because I haven't actually messed with it. I've never even seen this. This is really cool. Go down the field of view. This is another thing that I changed. As you know, they added field of view to consoles. All right, this used to always be a PC thing for so many years, but finally they added field of view, and I think 80 is the default. I might be wrong, but I bumped it up to 95. I might go up to 100 at some point just to try it out. So if you want to mess around with 95 to 100, you can. I really think that's a great field of view to be at, so you can see more of the game. 120 is great and all, but I think it's too much for me. And also, if you're on just like a normal PlayStation or a normal Xbox, it might cause some lag issues, so you may not want to go up to 120. It might cause your game to lag at times, because I am on a PS4 Pro, so my game does pretty well on 95. Affected ADS field of view. I'm not too sure what this does. Independent affected, I just leave it at affected. My brightness, I actually have up a little bit. I have it at 5. You don't have to change this if you don't want to. I just like playing on brighter settings and whatnot. Split screen orientation, not something I need to mess with. Motion blur, another big thing. Definitely turn this off. It will if you record videos or if you get clips and you want people to edit it, definitely have this disabled, because they don't like motion blur. People don't really care to see motion blur. People don't mind it, but most people would be better off with seeing motion blur off. So definitely turn that off. All my audio stuff is around the same, except for my music volume. I turned down a little bit because it was quite loud in my videos. Interface, just a bunch of HUD elements that you can mess with if you want to turn them off or on. Like you can see here, hit marker indication, you can turn that off. Just a couple of things that you can turn off if you want to, like full names, you can turn those off. I didn't mess with any of this stuff. If you would like to mess with that, you can. And then keyboard and mouse doesn't matter, and then the account and network obviously doesn't matter as well. So to recap everything that we just went over: 7.7 sensitivity, 0.8 ADS on both tactical, flip, and then the remap controller through the PlayStation. As well as, I forgot to mention, I do use a Control Freak on my right stick, which is your aiming analog stick. And the reason I use this is because it does help my aim. It's more comfortable on your thumbs if you use Control Freaks. And if you didn't know already, as you can see in the bottom right hand of the screen, it says use code GADS on Control Freaks. I am sponsored by Control Freaks, and I really do enjoy their product. As you can see here, Omni, this is the one that I actually use on my controller. It is a low-rise Control Freak, and there are different types of Control Freaks that you can get. There's low-rise, mid-rise, and high-rise, and they are all different heights to your controller, and they all do the same job but at a different height. So you can have a Control Freak, which is going to give you more radius on your aiming in game. You get more like control over your aim, and it could help your aim. At first, it can be very hard to get used to Control Freaks because you know you're trying to try something new. But as soon as you get used to Control Freaks, trust me, I believe it is a better choice than the normal analog sticks. So definitely, if you would like to get some Control Freaks, you can go over to the Control Freak website, which I will link down below in the description, and check it out, see what works for you, what you like, and you can use my code at checkout, code GAZ, as it says in the bottom right hand of the screen, for 10% off on your order, and that would definitely support me if you would do so. So if you want to get some Control Freaks, definitely do that as well. But yes, this is my controller settings video. If there's anything that you're confused about, you can ask questions down below, but try to go back in the video how things are working out, because I know there's a lot of information on my controller settings. But that will do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for the support. I appreciate you all. If you haven't already, make sure to follow my social medias down below. Drop a like to show your support on the video. Subscribe to the channel for daily Cold War content. And with all that said, guys, I will see you in the next one.
I'm finally facing it all, fearless. With